Our esteemed colleague Scott Burns filed a story regarding Carter-Vickers, stating obviously he's not trained with Celtic yet. Celtic have been back training, and there was even a suggestion that he's undergone an operation this summer,
Another up.
which really wouldn't be good news for Celtic. They've obviously got a Champions League qualifier coming up as well. I said jokingly before we come on air, it'll be like having Near Beaton and Owen O'Connell in centre half again, but he is just so essential to Celtic.
If there's, like, you know what I think about Callum McGregor, right? And I've said it often enough about his importance to the team and why he'd be the first name in the team sheet for me, week in, week out. And he is, why he is the first name in Brendan Rodgers' team sheet. But closely followed and sometimes probably even pipped to the post by Carter-Vickers, because Carter-Vickers is such a key central strand of that team. The calmness he provides at the back, the security, and also, you know, I think was he injured previously with Brendan Rodgers, or it might have been under Ange, and the point was made, look, if you've got Cameron Carter-Vickers here, you can defend on the halfway line when you're up the pitch, because once the long ball comes out from the back, Cameron Carter-Vickers has the reading of it. He's got the speed to get there. He's got the strength to beat his man to it, and he just nips things in the bud. So an attack, if you like, a long ball comes out, Cameron Carter-Vickers can have that situation under control 5 yards inside his own half. Other centre halves might end up chasing it 30 yards back the way.
Aye.
And then Celtic are turned and they've got to try and get out from the back. Cameron Carter-Vickers gives Celtic that level of control because he's such a good reader of situations. He's half a yard quicker than anybody else up there in terms of getting to the ball and shutting things down. And that is so key to the way Celtic play, because it allows them to play 30, 40 yards further up the pitch in their opponent's half. And you take him out of that, Celtic haven't got another central defender who does the same. So, yes, I strongly suspect, given the importance, given his importance to the Celtic side, that they've probably done what Rangers should have done with John Souttar. And that if surgery has been required over the summer, it's been done. And Cameron Carter-Vickers isn't racing to be fit in time for the start of the season. Yes, I think everybody would, prefer for them to be out there training from day one. But if that's not possible, it's not possible. But you would think Celtic's medical department, if they were aware that because he had surgery towards the end of last season.
Aye, I did.
So I don't know if this is a tidy up or something, but you would think Celtic's medical department would be on top of that, and whatever surgery has been required, if indeed surgery has been required, it'll be timed towards him being able to be ready for the start of the season.
Scott Mark says there in the comments, and it's something we've talked about quite recently here in the Hotline Live, but Carter-Vickers needs support. He's covered both positions since Starfelt left. He needs a player as good as he is ASAP. And that's the thing. I mean, we've talked about Inamura coming in. He might be the answer. But with all due respect to Trusty, Scales, Welsh, I mean, Lager-Bielkas, we'll touch on that. He's away today. They're not really on the same level as Carter-Vickers.
That's not an insult to them.
No, it's not.
It's more a question of
how good Carter-Vickers is.
How good he is and how valuable he is to the side.
That's the thing, Daniel. Jacko spoke the last couple of nights, quite rightly, about Celtic trying to find a partner for Carter-Vickers. If it's not going to be Trusty, if it's going to be Inamura coming in or Liam Scales or whoever. But the worry for Celtic fans, I suppose, with this, if Carter-Vickers is struggling again with injury, and it does feel as if Celtic have had to almost kind of wrap him in cotton wool for the last year, just so because he's so important to them. You think you're going for titles and Champions League, but that's the thing. The Celtic almost need to sign a centre back to cover him. So you can rest him and leave him out of certain games and wrap him in cotton wool, as I say. Whether Trusty just steps across and plays on the right side, or one of the other guys can do that. Nawrocki, you didn't mention, we don't know about his future as yet, but as a worry, because as Keith says, I mean, he is so important. He's totally right. I mean, aside for Callum McGregor, Callum McGregor, maybe Dyson Maida comes into that category now, in terms of their importance to that Celtic team. But Carter-Vickers is definitely up there. And if he is struggling slightly and they're going to need to maybe leave him out of certain games, they need ample replacements, guys that can come in as good, and that's no difficult. That's difficult because of Carter-Vickers' quality.
And Big Rab does say in the comment section, to be fair, some players, different training schedules. I can't remember the name of the Tottenham centre-back, couldn't train twice a week. Ledley King, that was. Which is fair, but it was more the suggestion that he's had another operation, which hasn't been confirmed yet, which would be of a concern, I imagine, to Celtic fans.
Yeah, and listen, proof will be in the pudding with this one. I think obviously that it's not ideal that he's not ready to start pre-season by joining in with the rest of his teammates. But I'll be interested to see what the extent of this is. Did it require surgery, and when did the decision get made? And most importantly of all, when is he scheduled to get his boots back on? And
I mentioned there, talking about Celtic, Gustav Lagerbielke looks set to depart. He's about to sign for Braga. Never really. He scored a picture that he scored the winner against Feyenoord in the Champions League. He had that eventful game at Ibrox when, you remember, the goal was chalked off. It was Roof's goal, wasn't it? The challenge for Bessers.
Yeah.
But it didn't really happen for him at Celtic. And I should say as well, it's worth mentioning that Brendan Rodgers, in an interview with Celtic TV today, he did promise more spending. He said, I think we're going to do a lot more. And he says, I think it could be a very interesting and exciting season.
That's what Daniel, I said. I get the feeling that Celtic had looked at things months and months ago and thought, right, here's the first tranche of signings that we need to make, because it covers positions, it gives us the balance that we're looking for within the squad. And I do think that's phase one of this summer. I think phase two will come as the transfer window develops, and I think that's where the sort of stardust might be hidden.
Particularly if they get to the Champions League proper.
I don't know if that'll... I mean, it'll make a difference in terms of being able to attract players that you're competing against other clubs for. I don't think financially it makes too much difference to Celtic. I think they're in such a strong financial position that I think they can afford to push the boat out regardless of what European competition they're playing in this season.